Resident Evil 2 is quite simply bloody brilliant. Get it? Bloody brilliant. I mean, it's bloody brilliant, because it's so bloody and, well, brilliant, but mostly because of the levels of bloodiness. This could easily be the quickest and simplest of reviews. The gushing of positive reactions all over the internet to this trend-setting, pop culture popping, zombie-slaying, horror survival great are entirely and overwhelmingly warranted. Capcom have achieved something so close to perfection that you would be forgiven for believing that just gazing upon its wonder would be akin to staring longingly into the eyes of Emily Ratajkowski as you move in for a loving, naughty and naked, skin-on-skin, beautiful, body-slapping kiss! I mean, it's that good. Hell, perhaps it's even better. I will state now that this is a spoiler-free review and I won't ruin anything for you, although I know many of you are already intimately acquainted with this horror classic. I cannot overstate how good this remake is, and right now, at the beginning of my review, I'm happy to say that we could be looking at a game that could easily make it onto any Game of the Year list. A remake of a game first released in January 1998! Let that sink in for a moment, and don't for 1 second let that fact put you off. From the moment I started my journey with Leon, one of the two characters you played a game with, I knew I was in for a treat. Each character playthrough lasts between 6 to 8 hours and has its own cutscenes and areas, as both college student Claire Redfield and the new police officer on the block, Leon Kennedy, pick their way through the virus-ravaged Raccoon City. Once you finish the first playthrough, you get to pick the second character and start their journey. Only this time it will be significantly harder, and the survival element's difficulty increases too. Not only this, but an ever-present timer, a game mechanic that I loved, but one that some will absolutely hate, continues to mentally pursue you, ticking away and bringing with it the invulnerable tyrant Mr. X, a bowler hat-wearing gigantic numpty with a silvery and scarred face whose sole purpose is to track you throughout large parts of the game and to smoosh you like a bug beneath his freakish large hands. His approach is signalled by daunting, thudding footsteps that then track you through the darkness with more determination than a latter-day saint desperate to imbue you with the Lord's majesty. All in all, pushing you onwards as you desperately try to uncover the mysteries and solve each puzzle, all the while fending off the never-ending and often undying undead. This timer mechanic slots perfectly together with the rest of the game's systems, like the small but very realistic inventory system. Resident Evil 2 has the impeccable ability to give you just enough resources to let you scrape by almost every situation with buttock-clenching satisfaction. The limited space forces you to either discard items forever or to track back through hordes of the undead and dark twisting corridors to a protected chest where you can safely deposit your wares. Believe me, getting used to effectively managing your inventory is half the challenge in Resident Evil 2. Items no longer needed are however indicated to you, and as such you can discard them freely without worry. The game definitely does not hold your hand, but it does enough to subtly help you, like changing the map colours to indicate what rooms have been effectively searched and looted. These will turn blue, but if something of use or value is left behind, the room will remain red. This helps to no end and stops you from wasting precious time going back and forth in search of resources and those elusive keys. With regards to resource management, ammunition is scarce, and as such you should be frugal with your shots. Often it's actually best to simply run away from the zombies with the speed, grace and determination of a sorority girl evading a pack of hungry frat boys.
Are you alright?
Get away!
Because you may need that extra bullet later. This is not a game where you can kill every single infected romping chomper, and the faster you realise that, the better. Leaving the dead, well, undead, can also lead to buttock-slappingly tense moments, like running away from a licker and turning a corner into 5 hungry lip-smackers all desperate to tear you a noose. Again, Capcom have tweaked the inventory and resource level so perfectly that if you play smart, you will never feel unable to survive, but still feel like you only just got by the skin of your teeth. The tightrope walked here is masterful and adds so much tension and a sense of real accomplishment. The only negative that I could find, as you'll probably hear from almost all corners of the internet, were the boss fights. Although visually gorgeous with more depth of story through the cutscenes, these fights felt artificial and clumsy. The controls don't allow the rapid movement that felt necessary, and as such I was often forced to back away and skirt around the danger. This was so glaringly disjointed from the rest of the gameplay, where every movement and every action felt real, dangerous and often bloody scary. I think it shows the limitation of the original game's design, and for that I can easily overlook this relatively minor foible. I won't spoil any of these moments because despite the issues mentioned, they were spectacles in their own right and delivered almost everything I wanted and needed from them. Almost. While talking about the negatives, plural as in just two, I have to mention Leon and Claire's often jarring and bizarre voice lines. For the most part, the audio and acting was sublime. Well, everyone except for Leon, who for some reason always sounded surprised by each and every zombie he saw and killed. The stellar performances of his peers occasionally threatened to fall at the wayside due to his flat delivery, which in some way made me think Capcom had wanted to keep Leon's original character intact. Dull, boring, and beautifully blonde. Honestly, he just wasn't that good, and more often than not felt forced, like some kind of special window licker out on day release who found out that he was a police officer in a zombie-infected wasteland, but was too dumbfounded to really grasp his predicament, and as such uttered random one-liners almost every time he raised his gun to shoot. These mild bouts of amnesia would lead Leon to appear startled by any zombie slowly lumbering towards him, almost always seconds after he'd gunned down one of its rotting friends.
Dad! What is it? What's going on? I heard a noise. Is somebody downstairs?
Oh God, Meg, you startled me.
It was just a bit, well, weird, and must have been an oversight because it just wasn't needed. Alas, it did make for some comical moments in the midst of squeaky bum runs to the nearest safe room. Talking of gunning down zombies, the gunplay was in my opinion perfect. Every shot has to be carefully taken and added more tension to the darkness, as the reticule has to reset and refocus after each shot. Fire wildly, and more often than not you'd miss your target and waste your precious ammunition. Take your time and move slowly, and you run the risk of getting attacked from the rear. Naughty. I found the timing and skill required was just right and very rewarding. Another sign of a core game mechanic working wonderfully and exactly as intended. It would be a travesty at this point not to pay homage to the incredible technical achievement here, the visuals. They have been entirely reworked from the ground up, as have the cutscenes and the intricate, lavishly and lovingly curated interiors, right down to the smallest of details. This was evident from the get-go. The moment I saw that juicy-ass burger dripping with juicy juices all over the dashboard in the opening cutscene, I salivated just looking at it. Damn, now I want a burger. Do you think we can get burgers for lunch? Yes, but I said burgers! I said burgers! Juicy is an adjective I could use to describe much of the game. Juicy, delectably involved puzzles, juicy, delightful audio, and especially the juicy, blood-drenched, mutilated walking cadavers that you bump into and past as you carefully pick your way through the story. Everything about Resident Evil 2 screams classic, and the nostalgia for a simpler time swirled about in the shadows of every corner, nook, and cranny. The iconic police station, sewers, characters, they have all been brought to beautiful life and right into the achingly gorgeous era of modern graphics that we enjoy today. The game translates so well, and the locations, although designed for a different time, hold up, bringing that spooky, claustrophobic, palpable tension flooding right back. Few games today capture the eerie, spine-tingling oppressiveness that these tight-knit, dark corridors and spaces deliver with aplomb. Perhaps it's also down to the lighting, or lack thereof. As mentioned, Claire and Leon have little room for anything more than a few herbs.
You're a happy guy when you plant the seed, because everything is better with a bag of weed. Oh, everything is better with a bag of weed.
But they go nowhere. I mean nowhere without their trusty flashlight. It truly is your best friend, but one that often teases you and takes credit for your hard work. Who am I kidding? I hate this stupid little guy. It doesn't even illuminate the whole room. I mean, a tiny little stupid beam. It illuminates just enough to scare the bejesus out of you, even when there's nothing there. The narrow beam of light coupled with the audio design captures the smallest of details to trace shivers down your neck and right to your jingly jangly bits. I lost count of the amount of times I spun around to find nothing more than a mop leaning against a wall, only to then be grabbed by one of the undead from behind, requiring me to hastily stab them in the neck, freeing myself from their deathly grip so that I may then run away and change my soft cotton pantaloons. The entire game, apart from being an escape artist's survival wet dream, is a puzzler at its core. You will have to use your brain and crack at times some tricky puzzles. They are intuitive and fun, but because of the omnipresent timer and the impending doom of that bowler hat wearing bastard, can be fairly tricky. They are challenging but never felt too difficult to overcome. Take a breath and think about it. You will be able to solve all of them. Also, the items in your limited inventory can be inspected and more often than not will hold the secrets to success hidden in plain sight if you simply take the time to look. When you do finish the 2 playthroughs, you'll likely feel desperate for more, and this is where Resident Evil 2's value comes into play. You can swap the playthroughs and start with Claire and then do the more difficult second run with Leon. Again, changing and flip-flopping the runs adds variety and forces you to sprint rather than sneak, to take risks where before you'd run away. Emboldened, you can enjoy the experience even more without it becoming dull or, dare I say it, repetitive. And if you feel like an extra challenge, you can play the 4th survivor mode and run to survive! See how far you get before your neck becomes the nesting ground for sets of broken, jagged teeth. I dare you. Hell, I double dare you. I could go on and on about the old school game design and mechanics. I could talk about the painstakingly lavish detail in every room and upon everything on a level rarely seen in games today. Perhaps this level of detail is the perfect example of why not all games need to be open world behemoths. This is testament to that. Make it smaller, focus on gameplay and detail, fill your game with drama and danger and darkness, and you could pull off something as special as Resident Evil 2. I have rarely been so enamoured with a game, so totally blown away. It was a game that almost passed me by, but I played the demo and was hooked, eager for more. For anyone unsure about this title, true die-hard Resident Evil fans, new whippersnappers that have never touched the series, I implore you, go out and buy this true gem of a game. A real masterpiece of suspense, of jump scares, of gore and gameplay, and a true contender for Game of the Year. And this is for a remake, people. A bloody brilliant classic, lovingly ushered into the current gen and raised up to its absolute best. Resident Evil 2 gets the DRBC stamp of approval and then some. This is totally deserving of your time, your money, and the much coveted 7 out of 7 rating. It's so good that I had to create a special award, the DRBC Legend Stamp of Approval. Resident Evil 2 is truly something special, and I loved every second of it. Capcom, take a bow, my son, take a long, much deserved bow. I salute you. I hope to see you in the next video, but for now, you stay saucy, world. Or juicy. Well, juicy and saucy. Saucy, juicy, juicy sauce! Much love. DRBC signing off. Now, I really want that burger. Yes, a big old juicy burger. What the hell is this? This is chicken fillet!